I'm going to take you back now to the point that I find absolutely fascinating: your ability to use technology to free people up and effectively to what's the best way of describing this? To say to them, to have more time, we've got to get rid of stuff that is just cluttering your time. Do you have an approach, a thinking that helped you guide that process?
Yes, so in design thinking, our first point of call is we absolutely think about understanding the problem from the individual that has the problem. And we don't depend on standing outside of the problem. What we do is we immerse ourselves in the problem as technologists. So that's the first thing, because that immersion creates empathy. And because of the fact that we develop empathy with the problem, we can then, once we have that degree of empathy, work with the targets that are having the issue. We can then work with them to talk about a vision that will actually deal with the problem, not at the surface level, but fundamentally deal with the problem. And so our approach is really systemic. And that approach being really systemic means that we're operating from the same understanding, moving to the same vision. And then what we can then do in the design is then we can then design with clarity. And that ability to design with clarity from a number of different perspectives means the fact that that clarity then leads to the agility. And because of the fact that we build on the process time after time with these principles, these 9 architectural principles that I talked about, means that, as people become matured in the process, I can leave them and trust them to follow the same process and then to consistently arrive at a point where the clarity that we reach would be similar because of the fact that we've taken the time to immerse ourselves and to develop the same level of empathy. So it is, really this design thinking approach is the fundamental way that we think about solving this. And of course, talking to partners like yourselves, right? Understanding your roadmap, understanding what future capability you're looking for, and then aligning our investment decisions, right? And I think that's probably, one of the most underrated, abilities. And so being able to do that with yourselves and Microsoft, and now, as we did with Cooperative and Microsoft together, because of the fact that you almost have this tripartite collaboration, you create a visibility, and that visibility therefore puts you in a position to make investment decisions. Like we did with almost renewing 90% of the user interface for a legal professional, but doing that 90% of the change, but because you're doing it in a language that is consistent with the individual, a language that they understand, that means they can become, this change curve. They don't have to go into the change curve and drop and become unproductive. They can almost go from that emotional side of the change curve to the intellectual side, that reasoning side, and therefore be productive sooner. So even, the depth of these change curves are starting to, the depth is starting to decrease because of this approach as well.
First of all, I'm fascinated by how well you've brought together the two major giants of IT that sit in your space. I think, secondly, the ability to turn that into a very measurable benefit to the firm. So I think that's great. And because that then, as you said, that allows you to plow things back into the community, gives the people more time to do that. So let me ask, where's your future? Are you looking to move into the cloud? What's your plans as we go forward?
Yeah, for us, it's about accelerating our cloud transformation. And the simple reason why is, for us, is this issue of what we call the innovation premium. We don't move to the cloud to save costs. We move to the cloud in order to realize the innovation premium. If you look at yourselves, if you look at Microsoft, you release 1,200 new capabilities, probably every 6 months. But most enterprises, because of the fact that we plan in arrears, our ability then to take advantage of this, it means that it takes us another year to take advantage of what you've produced. But this approach of focusing on the innovation premium means that when a feature set arrives, before the feature set arrives, because of the fact that we understand the release schedule, we can start preparing the organization to take advantage of that innovation premium. And so meaning once again that as we deploy the platforms, the ability then to monetize the capabilities that supports our business capabilities takes us to this point where, you know, as an enterprise architect, we now so focused on what we call composable architectures. This is a business outcome that's supported by a business capability that's supported by technology, right? And that ability to have that composability once again accelerates our delivery. Because for me, when it comes to IT, the velocity of delivery is one of the fundamental things that we enable for our organization. The next part is even to further enable our knowledge through search. I mean, when we prepare a precedent, when we prepare an opinion, we now know because of our enterprise search, specifically of iManage, our email, literally any document that anybody has produced, we can therefore produce an artifact and show you the similarity with another artifact and therefore produce knowledge quicker. And you know, I mean, at the end of the day, this ability to produce knowledge quicker, but then more importantly, to bring the insight to that, right? We can tell you how profitable your client is. We can tell you what part of the process, because of the fact that we have both the timing view in iManage as well as in our practice management, putting those two views together gives us an understanding of how long processes take. And so from an activity-based costing point of view, we can then start micro-analyzing our productivity opportunities even further, and then find further opportunities for hyper-automation. So for us, the next focus is about hyper-automation. So bots, the ability for bots to load exchange rates so that our trusts can be aged properly, the ability to understand in terms of know your customer or privacy legislation, which clients are showing significant risks, and therefore should we put additional requirements on them in terms of KYC or taking deposits for work before we commence that work, because of the fact that we now have the ability to understand real-time risks. And from a security perspective and from a compliance perspective, you know, Microsoft has this tool called the Secure Score as well as Compliance Manager. And so now what we are transitioning to, and this is our primary push into the cloud, because, you know, compliance, because our brand promise to our clients is the ability to protect client privilege. And so now through the fact that we can assess both our security and compliance in real time and adjust our posture in that regard, puts us in a position to then deliver our brand promise, which is about making sure that we protect client privilege.
You've got me convinced. You know, if I was choosing to join a law firm, I want to come and join yours. You sound like you're going places. You sound like you know what you're doing, and I'm seriously impressed. So, Warren, it's been a real pleasure speaking to you today. Thank you ever so much for your time, and I look forward to meeting you in person when all this is over. But secondly, I want to learn more from you. So we're going to be speaking again, and I'll be buying some beers to say thank you. So thanks a lot, Warren. It's been great.
Jeff, just thank you for the opportunity. Thank you to iManage, and just thank you for, I mean, the way you use partners and the way you will enable the ecosystem into the future. Looking forward to see how the roadmap evolves.
Excellent. Thanks a lot.